Hi, up to now I just tried to inform you about what are variables and why do we use them. Now it's time to use them. Let's start with a general usage of variables. Variable declaration and initialization are the same. First we write its name, then write if it is constant. It's optional. If you want that your variable will be protected against any change, you specify it as constant. Once you initialize a constant variable, it cannot be changed until the program finishes. That means it can't be changed ever. Then we write our data type. It can't be any data type, number, varchar2, whatever we learned before. Then we write if it is not null. This is also optional. If you set a value as not null, you will not be able to assign a null value to it. To initialize a value, we use colon equal signs together, not only equal sign. Maybe you know, most of the programming languages uses only equal sign to assign a value to a variable, but single equal sign is used for comparison in PLSQL. So be careful about that. Initializing means that assigning a value on the first declaration and the default keyword. If your variable is not assigned to any value, then the default value is automatically assigned to your variable. But there is one thing in here to be careful. I said that if your variable is not assigned to any value. If you assign a value, even null value, the default value will not work. If it is assigned to a null value in somewhere, your variable will be null. Just be careful about that. You can set to a default value or expression, or you can directly assign a value or expression on the initialization part. Expressions can be a calculation or a value comes from a function, etc. We will make examples about that. Yes, I said too much about we will make examples. Now it's time. Let's open up SQL Developer and do some coding. As we know, if we want to declare a variable, we first write declare keyword. Then we will start declaring our variables. Let's first declare a text. How will we do that? First, the name. I will obey the naming rules. We underscore text. And our data type. Data type for text is varchar2. Now we need to specify the maximum length of our variable. Let's say 50. And our semicolon. Let's finish that in here. Now we write our begin keyword. In here we will just print our variable. So let's write dpmsoutput.put line and vtext. And our end keyword. Let's go to the top and write our set server output on command. This is for seeing the output. Let's run it first and run our query. As we can see, we could not see any value because we did not assign a value to it. Let's try our declaration things one by one. First, let's write a not null for our text after varchar2. Now let's run it again. As we can see, it says you need to have an initialization value for this variable. So now let's assign a default value for our variable. Let's write default and hello. As we know, we need to write text inside single quotes. As you can see, I did not write colon equal before default keyword because we either assign a value or set a default value. So let's run it now again. As we can see, we have our text hello. This default keyword is useful when you use variables with procedures or functions, etc. So it's an important subject. I will delete the set server output on command now because it's enough to run it once per session. Now let's assign a value for our variable vText. If you want to assign a value for our variable, you need to do that in the begin and end block. So let's assign a value for our variable. Now I go below begin keyword and write vText is equal to, let's say, PLSQL. Let's run it again. As we can see, our hello text changes with PLSQL now. Now let me show you how to use concatenation. In PLSQL, we concatenate text just like in SQL. So let's go to the assignment and concatenate with 2 vertical bars and course. Let's run it now. Let's put a space before course text and run it again. Fine. Let's make another concatenation inside put line procedure. We write vText concatenation and let's write beginner to advanced. Good. Let's not forget how to initialize. I go back to declaration area and delete default keyword and default text. And write colon equal and welcome. Then I need to delete the assignment which comes after the begin keyword to prevent changing this data after initialization. And run the code again. As you can see, we can directly create and initialize a variable. Great. Now we know how to create, initialize, and assign a value to a variable. But we did it for just varchar2 type. Let's try the others one by one. Let's start with the number. Number declaration is pretty similar with varchar2 type. The only difference is we can specify no range for numbers, but we have to specify the max value for varchar2 data type. Let's declare our number type then. Let's write the name as number. The data type is number. Just number is enough for now. And the value is, let's say, 50. Let's clear up here. Let's change the variable name in dbms output and run it. This is a whole number. Let's change it with a decimal number. Let's say 50.42, for example. We separate the decimal numbers with dot sign. If you try to separate with comma sign, you will have a compilation error. Let's try now. As we can see, it got angry with the symbol. We have to write dot for numbers. Now let's assign a maximum value for our number variable. Let's say 2. We will write it inside parentheses like in varchar2. Let's run it. Now I need to change this comma sign and run it again. So what happened now? I just write 50.42, but it printed just 50. What if I change the maximum value with 4 then? Because we have 4 digits in here. Let's clear up in here too and run the code. As we can see, it's 50 again. That means since we did not specify the scale, it's only assigned with the whole part of the number. So let's change the precision and scale with 2, 2. Now we have an error. Number precision too large. So what is wrong in here? It's the precision part. My number occurs from 4 digits. So we need to say that our precision is 4 at least, because precision must be higher or equal to the total digits of a number. Let's change the precision with 10, for example. The result is correct. So let's change the scale now. Let's assign it as 1 first. As we see, the decimal part has truncated to 1 digit. Let's change it to 5 then. It's correct. No problem. That means your precision and scale must be at least equal or higher to your number.